Welcome to episode 120 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast. Sorry guys, I know it's the balding eagle, but I got to wear my hat. It's too much glare on the screen, I can see it. It's like we got to figure that out. We are joined today, man, we got two coaches.
We're honored,
in the house.
yeah.
And that's rare for us. You know, we have you on every year, Coach Williamson. We appreciate you coming out again. Preseason podcast as we always do, but in the house this morning, for the first time ever, we got him out to the Far East as defensive coordinator, Chase Hargis. Welcome to the show.
Thank y'all for having me. Glad to be here.
Anytime, you're welcome to come because we got a lot to talk about in so many different areas, and we've got to start. We started doing this, and it's just a history lesson because we used to, when we did podcast 1 through 99, we used to talk about, okay, who wore that number.
Right.
Well, we got into the hundreds, and either you got to start over and pick a different person, but we decided to go to the history books. I have this piece of paper here. You don't know this. And we talk about, since this is episode 120, we've gone back and looked, okay, what was the 120th game in the history of Allen Eagle football? So
Started in the 70s.
And this year, when we go back to the 120th game, 1972. Were you even born then?
No, sir.
Oh, my gosh.
Might not have even been.
He got here as quick as he could.
Yeah.
So before you were born, Coach, Allen, who was in District 16 1A.
Wow.
So think about that.
Wow.
At that time. They had played, this was the fourth game of the year, they had played Frisco, Whitewright, this is what I love talking about, Van Alstyne, okay, and they were 1-2 at that point, and they played Pilot Point that week, and they beat Pilot Point 18-6 to go 2-2 on the year.
Barn burner. Yeah.
It was. We also, at the same time, we go and look at what the 120th victory was in the history of Allen Eagle football, and you got to go forward a few years to 1982. This is interesting. So 10 years later, they went from 16-1A to 5-4A.
Wow.
So you can see the growth there. And so this was the 7th game of the year. I love going back and see who they played. They had played Midlothian, Lancaster,
Wow.
Quinlan Ford, Wiley, McKinney, North Dallas,
Wow,
That's a big spread, yeah.
and they are 4-2 on the year, and they are facing Dallas Adamson.
Sorry, Dallas.
Is that school still in existence?
Oh yeah, they're still there. Yeah, great
Yes,
program.
it is.
They beat them 10-0 to go to 5-2 on the year. So
Defense.
isn't it great?
We were still playing Adamson in baseball when I was in high school.
Oh, that is crazy. The rest of the schedule, y'all
That
won't be
was
here when
late
we talk
60s.
about it. They played Madison, Seagoville, and Lincoln. So, man, funny.
So
how
they're
time-
in Dallas ISD district,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, and I also remember a playoff game where we played Dallas Carter in the first round of the playoffs over at the old Texas Stadium. That was
How many years ago was that?
a lot of, that was like 05, 04, 05, something like that.
Yep, long time ago.
We won.
Yep, we did. All right, it's a new year, 2024. We can revisit 2023 for a little bit if you'd like. Not that you want to spend a lot of time in
Yeah.
what was, but
Yeah.
It was great effort on the team's part.
Yeah, it was.
It was awesome.
It was fun the way they, just kind of kept improving. Really, on really in all phases. But just and it was something you could feel. You never felt like, oh my gosh, we're not playing good ball or any of that. You just felt like they're playing hard, they're playing smart, they're starting to figure things out, and not that it ever got to a point to where you said, okay, feel comfortable, we're going to roll out here and just take care of business, but that's the way that I like the game. I think it should be. I think that you should feel like that you've got to go play flawlessly. I think that there's a lot of teams, a lot of programs that have won games because they're the most talented team on the field, and you look at them, we've all watched good ball or good games and said, this team won because of who they had on the field. And what I think that most of us who love the game would say is, I like a game where you can look at and say that team is getting the most they can out of their players, and they're playing they're playing for each other. They're playing well together, and I think that's what this team did. They just kept finding a way to get things done on in all three phases of the game, and won some big games down the stretch to extend the season a week at a time. And it was really fun, and really excited for those guys who, again, going back to really that senior group's sophomore year, is when, whatever you want to call it, all the change, and probably going back even a year or two before that, change was taking place, right? And there was things that weren't as they always knew, right? That they grew up seeing and being seeing, and then you go really change and say, let's go start hiring people from the outside, and the boat really gets rocked, and this group of seniors had been through the gauntlet, they really had, and when you do that, then it's easy for them, certainly their family, but everyone they're hearing saying, basically, you're not a part of anything special anymore. Matter of fact, you're borderline a disgrace to what was special. And without being too over the top, that's almost what they dealt with, right? For a few years. So it was just really good to see a great group of kids that just did so much every day, not just for this game, but for this community, for their school, and being able to see them go out there and feel good about themselves when the ball bounced their way in a few games.
They left everything on the field in all those playoff games.
They did.
I'll never forget that Midland game where, they were down early, down by a lot, and they weren't going to let each other down. They were going to fight and fight and fight, and they did.
Chipped away at it. Defense locked them, started locking them up.
It was amazing the effort that they put out, and just shocked Midland. I know it did. They're coming in here.
They were a team of destiny. It was theirs to take.
Exactly. And they go, why are we playing these people? 9-4 or something like that. And,
and they were going to take pleasure in beating Allen too.
Exactly.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah. But
Well, and your group as coaches, when Brady gets hurt and breaks his collarbone, it had to have been okay. I don't know what your week was like that next week and how much different it was for you guys, but you had to look at things a little differently than what you had initially planned or thought was going to happen for the coming weeks as you continued.
Sure, but and it's more. It would look more like that from the outside because of that position. You're seeing someone that's going to touch the ball every play, but it goes back to like what I said at the first. That's the fun part. It's not like if you just said. Like, I would not coach. I really wouldn't if all I had to do was get a team on the bus and get to the game. If that's all it was about to me, that's not what drives me on the competitive end of it. The things we get to do to shape their lives is that. But the competitive end is still something that really, really, really is big in my life. And that part of it is what's fun, we tell our kids this, but I want adversity. I want things to be stacked against you. I want that and crave that, because that's when that's really when you get to go out there with a group of guys and convince them of that and let them say, here we go, now what are you going to do? And that to me is just the fun part of it. So it's not stuff that you don't prepare for. You don't know how it's going to happen,
right?
But we try to constantly say, okay, he's hurt in our short time together. I said, okay, we have two inside linebackers. The top four are going to be gone the first series of the first game. Now what? And I expect him. I expect every position player. We got to have those answers. And if it looks like we're going to say, well, then we're going to start over, you can't do that because now you're in the first round of the playoff game and your season ended. There is no starting over in this, right? You constantly. It doesn't mean that you have plans because you can't foresee everything that's going to happen, but you have to understand that I'm not going to be with these 11 kids this year. I'm not. Whether someone beats them out or someone, God forbid, gets injured in some way or something happens, you have to constantly let your team evolve and just be a part of it, but be able to kind of take that by the reins and pull them in that direction when that adversity hits.
It certainly was fun to watch because I don't think anybody expected anybody in the stands.
Any of
there's
the novices.
There's a whole difference, and we talk about this a lot. There's a lot of chatter on the outside, but they're not on the inside, and they don't know what's going on. And then And for those of you who think we know what's going on, we don't know what's going on. We don't have a pipeline that.
Wink, wink.
Yeah,
right.
Coach we don't call us every day before the game and say, "Hey, here's what we're going to do." We don't have a clue either. So,
but he would if he had time, or if y'all called him. I mean, tell you. Right.
Y'all heard it. He's not going to take our call.
No, he always will.
Yeah. No, that was fun to watch, and I remember after. Who was it? We played Louisville first, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That was in the rain too, wasn't it? Yep. Yeah, because I remember after the game we were standing down in the end zone, and Coach Broom came up, and he didn't even say anything. I just looked at him and I just shook my head. And he just did the same thing. I was like, that was fun to watch.
And there's some great defense played in all these games.
Yeah.
I mean, what you did with them and to pull them together. I mean, they were fired up.
I want to talk about that because I don't know if you know that I'm a numbers guy. I'm a CPA by trade, and so I deal with numbers all the time. So numbers, and I know stats, you can throw them out sometimes. But I'm just going to ask you the question that you may know the answer to this because I don't know how much you look at stats. But Allen last year, when you took and looked at the numbers that the team came up, I'm going to say defense, that the team gave up over the course of the year, there was only one team that met their season scoring average against Allen, that outscored what they usually score. Did you know that?
No, sir.
Yeah.
News to me.
That, and I look at that and go,
it says a lot.
And it wasn't DeSoto. You know, DeSoto averaged 52 points a game, and they only scored 39. But do you have any idea who it was? Let's take a guess here.
I'm going to go with Midland, to be honest.
It was not Midland. Midland averaged 52 points.
Oh, Arlington Martin.
No, it was not Martin.
In the three-quarter game.
Martin averaged 41 points a game, and they did not score 41. Who'd you say?
Geyer?
No, it was not Geyer. Geyer, we only gave up 24 to Geyer.
Was it Prosper?
It was not Prosper. Only by 1 point.
So Rofer.
Y'all are getting...
McKinney Boyd.
Seriously? Gave up 7 points to Boyd. They averaged 16.
Who else did we play?
The answer is King.
Okay.
Really? C.E. King?
Yeah, they averaged 40 points on the year, and that you gave up 45 that night. So
That's not a good night.
you look at that, was not a good night. You're right. It wasn't a good night. But you look at that and you go, okay, to me that says something, because if you're doing that consistently, you're holding teams less than what it shows the struggle they're having against and for me last year, my question for that team last year was defense, because there was a lot of turnover there, and you were starting some young guys, and you go, okay, what's it going to be? And it was, you were new to the program too, and it's like, okay, what is this going to be? So when you go back and look at that defense, it was awesome to see.
Since we got him here, let's ask him, when you're coaching a lot of young guys like that, you've got a lot of turnover, what are you thinking about? What are you trying to achieve there?
Yeah, like I said, we were all new together, so I didn't really know or pay attention to who was on defense the year before. And so to me, it was just, these are your guys, you got to go make it work. So, if they can do it, they can do it. Don't really get caught up in sophomore, junior, senior. You're just looking for the best mixture of kids that, have football IQ and want to communicate with each other and want to do it together. But when you have a leader like Zena that's going to really bring everybody along, it's easy. I don't have to do as much. He's going to make sure the ship is right, no matter what. Again, age, sophomore, junior, senior. I think the connection between him and a sophomore D end right behind him, Josh Shaw. It was really cool to watch them get along and just the things he did with those guys. So, to me, we're just looking for the best fit. And again, when everybody wants to do this, I flash hand signals on the sideline. The kids, go out there and perform.
Sure. Yeah. It's up to them to execute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So expand on that. You had mentioned football IQ. Describe that a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people out there that their imagination goes wild. Oh, I know what that is. From your perspective, what does football IQ look like?
To me, it comes from film study each week, just knowing, when they're in this formation, this is what they like to do. When they motion this guy, this is what they like to do. When it's, gut shut time, this is the guy they're going to. But I've watched football with my dad for years and heard him yell at the TV. But once you become a football coach and you start learning all the intricacies, he kind of be quiet when he watches football around me now.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, "What is that defensive end doing?" I'm like, "Well, Dad, he might be taught to do this and he might be taught to do that." You don't know what the
So you're not pulling a Tony Romo analysis with your dad on there?
No, I let him off the hook pretty easy. But
that's nice.
We just want the guys to, be aware. It's not just another play. Like, there's a down and there's a distance and there's a situation and there's a clock.
So a lot of intuition, a lot of experience adds up.
All that stuff matters for sure on Friday nights.
So how I'm going to ask this, because he's been one of my favorite players that has ever come through the program. How fun was it to coach Tank?
Oh,
I mean, the guy's got a motor that and he showed up all year.
I don't know that he wasn't the best player in Texas last year. I really don't. We played some really good ones, and then we went against him every day, and
he was a force.
Oh, beyond. That's way underselling him. Way underselling him. He was different.
Very one of the most analytical defensive linemen I've ever been around.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we had fun with that. He'd make us laugh with several questions that he'd ask. But again, that's what you want. You want somebody that wants to know all those things. But one day in practice, we're making the linebackers do something that the D linemen do with the D linemen. And he turns around to me. He goes, "Are they qualified to do this?" I was like, "Tank, let us worry about that. You do what you do."
He was in the backfield all the time.
He lived back there.
He's phenomenal.
Disruptive.
Yes. He was, and he just showed up all the time. You just kept waiting for him, because I think, again, having a player like Zena obviously helps anybody else on that line too. And I think Tank really blossomed the two of them together, because pick your poison offensive line. Which one are you going to?
It'll be interesting to see who takes that place this year and steps up and is that person in that backfield all the time.
Well, Zena was a phenomenal player, but what he, and go back to, and we've said it a number of times, but when this team changed was late December, early January of their season. I'm saying of what we call the season, when one season ends. And Zena stood up in front of the team, and the team changed, and the team came together immediately, and it was just pleasant. It was just a good, fun group to be around, and it was fun to see a leader of it step up and say, you're not going to be here more than me. You're not going to do things more right than me. You're not going to have more fun than me. You're not going to hold your teammates accountable than me. You're not going to have to see me be held accountable for. It was just really fun to see a leader lead like he did, and it was fun. Then obviously did on the defensive side of the ball as we got into the season. But when our time started, he was a special leader.
Yep. And so do you have that again this year? Somewhat.
I think I will say this. I think there could end up being 10 or 11 different guys that fill those roles. There wasn't a moment that, like I talked about that moment, the day after it happened, a week after it happened, a month after it happened, and just remember it amongst the team. The team got tired of hearing it, but it was just. I'll remember that forever. And it shaped our team. There's not that moment. But we're in a completely different spot too. In terms of every piece of it, it's just we're in a completely different spot, and it's probably going to be hard, I think, from now on to see that stand out, because there are so many that are where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing it for the right reasons, and all that stuff. So it's not going to shine as bright. This team has a ton of leadership. Is there that one that stands out on a singular moment? I don't think there's that, but again, I love where we are and the group that we have.
You asked us, and we were fortunate enough to get to I use quotes, coach the 7-on-7 this summer, and it's fun for us to see the bonding between the guys, because you really do, when they get out there. You can see it, because they're coaching themselves,
right?
Supposedly.
Right.
I'll say that, but they are. They're having to do it themselves, and just to try to find the people who will step up and grab somebody and say, "Hey, you were supposed to be here, or you were supposed to do this, or hey guys, that was on me, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. That was fun to watch, and it was also, fun to see the joy they get out of competing and winning. Because they had, and I wasn't there for state, but up until that point, it was really competitive, and it was really neat to see victory after victory after victory. They go to SMU and win 8 straight games in one day. Against a pretty good competition. And to see those guys build their confidence through that. And it's not football, so to speak, but it's your talented guys against their talented guys.
Well, and y'all said it. That's right. And y'all said it in that time of coaching, how different it is.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it is just 7-on-7.
Right.
But you're throwing a football, you're catching a football, you're having to keep someone else from catching it. So it's as close as you can get to football in shorts in that time of year. So, we're just at a different spot. It's.
Well, you can tell the difference because we were involved last summer and then this summer. It's night and day difference in communication and what do you call it, cohesion.
It's just, and it's because of that. It goes back to that. It really does go back to that moment with Xena, and then you take that through the playoffs, and you go to losing a quarterback, and then they battle and play phenomenal defense, and then Jet making a big kick return, to ultimately win the Louisville game, and then just you kind of, that would, to me, was the culmination. Kind of all it kind of pinnacled there, and it was I don't know that a sigh of relief for them would be how I would describe it, but it was almost like, okay, because you could not have questioned the way they worked. You could not have questioned how much it meant to them.
Yep.
You could not have any of those things, but then for them to get to experience a really cool moment, then it was like, they say, you know what, I do believe in this. I do believe in myself and our team, and that's what you're just seeing now. It's not you saw them all. They don't walk out there like arrogant. They don't walk out there, we're better than you, but they also aren't going to walk out anywhere thinking the opposite of that. They feel like they can play with anyone, and we certainly can, and it's just fun to be around them.
Yeah, and they are kids, but they do talk, and they won't back away from anybody.
No.
It's fun to. They don't care.
No.
Like we'll play whoever's on the other side of the field.
That's
Let's
right.
go, which is fun to watch. So we get to this year, and you have redistricting, which happens every 2 years. And so I'm just going to ask: were you surprised by the way things fell out, or?
I've never in 24 years of going to realignments, never really thought about it, just because one, I don't want to waste time thinking about it.
You can't control it.
You can't control it, But I was a little disappointed just because we played Geyer twice, and Geyer has beaten us twice. And if we make the playoffs, we would go big school. If they make it, they'll go small school.
Yeah.
They are really, really, really. Last year, no disrespect to them, but they were as bad as they've been, right? It was just not a good Geyer football team.
They played dirty that game.
Yeah, it's just, but they feel like as a program they're really coming back. Like feel like this next year, but the year after that, especially, they have a shot to win it. And with that, I would love to have a shot to play them, and we just won't, So, but with that being said, it's also when you talk about history and where was game 120 and where was win 120, a lot of those things involve Planos.
Yeah.
Right. And not in the 70s yet, but a lot of them involve Plano. So to me, just the history in our short time here, we hear about all the times with Plano, the games with Planos, and so that's fun. I think that's fun for the fans of the game and for the purist of Allen Eagle football and Plano football, and I think that's a good thing.
We're always more fun for Allen fans than Plano fans.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd get back in the district with them.
Really?
Yeah, I really didn't. I thought that was over with because their fans didn't want any part of us.
Yeah, but I just thought. I would have, if you would have asked me, I would have said, I don't know if it'll happen now, but it'll happen just because of proximity.
And
but it's all a numbers game, of who pull. You start everything out in the West, right? So you start with District 1, and then it starts working. So do we get caught there before it gets to that one, or is there something that you go down? But I would think over the next 50 years, we're going to be with them 30 of those 50 anyway.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
Just a few years down the road, we're going to have Melissa in our area.
No kidding, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll talk about Plano before we move on to that. I think with Plano, you're going to see a decline in enrollment there.
Yeah, they'll have to decline a lot to get up 6A though, because
they will. But that one, it's built out. Two, it's becoming older.
Yeah.
Three, it's becoming anywhere. It's becoming expensive.
Yeah.
And so for younger families, where are they going? They're going to Melissa. They're going to Anna. They're going to Van Alstyne because that's where they can afford to go.
That's right.
And that's
when we started the Plano for us, back in the 2006, 2005, whatever, it was always competitive. Even with Plano West, you weren't quite sure how you were going to be able to do against them, and it was tight. And we had some games like that with Plano.
Yeah.
But we just hope for it to be competitive. We like blowouts, but we don't like them all to be blowouts. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do and how they do. Because they've had coach and AD changes and
and they've got demographic issues.
Yep.
As well, which especially affects Plano West. That's really affected their football program.
Yeah.
And I think more than anybody else.
And their marching band always kind of struggled
great.
A little bit too.
Their tennis team's great. It's just a different demographic and what goes on over there.
I'm certainly not contradicting or because I don't know any of that, but in making that statement, for whatever reason, if you're saying that they don't have skill guys or that, you certainly wouldn't say a basketball team's going to go whatever they went 41-0 or whatever. You would not have sat here 2 years ago and said that would happen.
Yep.
That was
Plano East.
Yeah.
Plano West won it. Not too long ago.
Well,
the players they had, that was special.
That was an AAU recruited team, and they'll admit it. Now when you go to those guys, but they do. But it just changes, and it's obviously going to change. We get to keep Prosper, which I think is good. But I think if you look, and I'll tell you what, bless poor Princeton's heart, because they came from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were 5A Division II, and they jumped to 6A. Or were they Division 1?
I don't think so. No,
Division 1.
I think they might have gone D2, D1 up that fast, but I don't think they would jump from 2 to 1.
Yeah, so
because they weren't in with Lovejoy, and Lovejoy is D2.
Yeah.
But that guy out there is a good. He's a good guy, does a good job, and they're going to continue to get better. I say that I can't tell you what they looked like last year, nor what they're going to look like this year, but it's good. It's like we tell our guys, we all start. You either started this Monday or the Monday that we have coming up when we start, and right then everybody has the same belief: is everybody's going to win a state championship if the ball bounces right. That's what everyone believes, and it's how do you use your time between now and that game? What do you do with the opportunities, and do you view them all as opportunities, or do you view them as have-to moments? And it's gonna be exciting.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. So workout and pads start next week.
We go helmets Monday. We go helmets Monday, Tuesday, shoulder pads Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, full pads Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. Our freshmen were able to start this week, so they started. I don't know when that started. 6 years ago, 7 years, whenever it was, that if you do spring ball, you start on a certain date,
right.
But the schools that don't do spring ball start the Monday before that. Well, somebody started asking, well, what about us that do spring ball? Our freshmen aren't getting to do spring ball or get that extra week, so they said, yeah, you should. So ours have been going. Had a little while y'all were up today. They were doing a little. They did their moment pictures and all the things that they did this morning, but then they had a little scrimmage. So so it was good, great start for them, and we're excited to get going Monday.
Awesome. I just went totally blank. I had a question. See, I think ahead. And I try to listen and think ahead, and sometimes it gets jumbled in the old brain.
Well, you've had a fun summer. Your son released his EP.
Yeah, no, it has been fun. I will say, not that we go on vacations, but we typically try to do a little family getaway somewhere for 4 or 5 days. And this year we didn't, but it was because it was twofold. Is the kids, we could never really get them together. But he did. He played in like 4 little, concerts in really cool places, and so we got to go spend it. Our first one was a festival, Texas country, but LJT, Larry Joe Taylor in Stephenville. this time last year I wouldn't have known any of these existed. But I'm getting into the scene. But Larry Joe Taylor, what I've realized is a Texas country Woodstock.
Okay.
I mean, it is literally that. And
down in Stephenville.
Out of Stephenville, really, really neat. And he played like on a Friday at 12:30. So that day we drove out in the morning and drove back.
Yeah.
After he played, but then he played out in Lubbock. They have a festival called Cotton Fest.
Yeah.
A guy named William Clark Green. I don't know if y'all listen to any of that. Again, I didn't. He has a couple of really cool songs that I've grown to like. But he started a festival out there, I don't know, let's say 12 years ago. And that was really neat. He played there on Saturday night, and that was cool. And then we got to go to the Frio River. There's a town down there called Concan
Nice.
that he played down there. So we spent the night and got to float the river. So that was a cool day. And then what was really neat for me is my hometown. There's a thing called Spring Hoe Festival, and Treaty Oak Revival is a group that. At this age, if you're in that, I would say if you're in that 18 to 23-year-old range and you like country music, you probably really, really like them. From seeing, I've saw them twice now this summer. From seeing the crowds, I think that's you really like them if they're that. But he got to play that in a thing there that was really neat, just because it's where I grew up. The first song he wrote was about my dad, of their relationship, and then of him singing at the funeral, and it's called Lamb Passes, and that's where it was just it was neat. It was really cool. Yeah, but that was that and being up at the field house was the summer. So,
What about you? Anything in the summer?
Oh, not much this summer. We went to the lake house, drug the kids behind the tube, and tried to teach them how to surf and all that stuff. Nothing too far away.
So you can surf? Is that what I'm
In
hearing?
the wake of the boat, right?
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I was like, look at here.
So Dad tried to show him how to do it? You're an expert
Dad
at
gets
that?
back
Awesome.
there, and I can put them between my legs. But we got them a little surfboard, and they're getting up on their own now. So
Oh, that's very
really
cool.
to watch. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which lake do y'all hang out on?
My parents have a house on Cedar Creek Lake.
Okay.
Nice.
I've been going there since I was 3 years old. So
Yeah.
bunch of friends out there we all get together.
I don't know if y'all have seen, they've been doing on social media the coaches,
Yeah.
preview or history or whatever, and you saw Mr. Dragon here with his blonde hair, last week, I
I had to
think.
bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, you think we'd let you get away without talking about that?
Everything's
may have to
fair
share a
game.
video with you later too.
Oh, here we go. Well, that's fun. So, just so everybody knows, how many children again?
We have three.
Three?
Yep, three now are on the ground. We just had twins for a long time. They're 7 years old. But we had what game was that? That was the Arlington Martin game. Second round play. Yeah, we had a second round playoff baby. It's now
Awesome.
about to be 9 months old. So
Sleeping through the night, Coach?
most nights.
Most
Yeah. Not every night, but
Yeah. That's
one of the happiest, way happier baby than the twins ever were. I can say that.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
twins are girls, right?
No.
Boy and a girl.
Boy and a
Boy
girl.
and a girl.
And this is
A boy.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, boys are much easier than girls, dude. Let me
Right.
tell you.
No doubt.
I don't know if you feel that way.
Well, until they start destroying things.
Yeah. Say that.
Yeah.
I was the last Hargis, so at least now I've got two on the ground.
There you
Awesome.
go.
Awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
What were you
That's
At
great.
least taking the fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because his daughter's still at home,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to have to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So, what is it? It's 3 weeks from yesterday, I guess. Season starts, if I'm doing my math right.
That's right.
Midland Legacy comes in town. They've obviously had some turnover in their personnel as well. They get to travel all the way here to face you guys again. So do you expect anything different from them?
I mean, I don't know, expecting different, just knowing their coach and that program, they are what you think of, when you think of West Texas, is they and he is the pinnacle of that. He is going to be a very tough-minded coach and take tremendous pride in being a tough program that just wants to go toe-to-toe with you, and it's us against the world, is who they're going to be about. And, if in saying all that and knowing him, as good as their quarterback was last year, and offensively they would have been known for that quarterback and how they did things through the air. My gut is they'll be a much better team without him, because I think it'll allow them to get in the personality of who they probably really want to be. If you told me we're going to be a team that's going to drop back and throw it sometimes 45 to 52 times a game, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be successful and you're not going to light up the scoreboard. You're going to give up a lot more points defensively, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just probably personality-wise not who we probably want to be, and it's certainly not who they want to be. And I think that they'll be much more who they crave to be this year, which will make them a much different team to play against, and probably much tougher, just because not that it wasn't tough last year, but just because I think it'll probably play more into their personality. And then they're like us, and that you have on both sides of the ball a number of the players that did so many things last year not there. So it's the questions of who's going to be doing those things. They didn't go through spring ball, so I guess this next week they'll be scrimmaging. As we start up, they'll scrimmage, and then they'll have a second scrimmage when we have our first, and then roll into the game. So I'm sure their team is, obviously they did stuff throughout the summer, but I'm sure it's evolving through this first week of fall camp for them. So I would expect a different game, a different team. How different, we don't know, because we don't know what they're doing on the other side of the ball. But I just know who they want to be. You don't go out and say we're going to be the toughest team on the field. That's who we are, and say we're going to do it by throwing 15-yard out. I mean, to me, it's not. They don't go hand in hand.
Right.
That's my thoughts on what I would look at.
Is there a running back, or did he graduate too?
He's at Evelyn Christian.
Oh, he was ACU.
So he,
my alma mater.
So they moved him to running back week 4-ish.
Yeah.
I think he was a corner or something, and he'd really never done it, and went over there and was just a really good fit for what they were doing. Out of a great year.
So when do you start game planning, or have you already?
We do. We spend about a week on each opponent in the summer, and really start harping in on the first two of the year, just because they're new. I know we played them last year, but just first new 2 games. So we haven't really dove in full force yet. We're more concerned about what we're doing on our side of the ball, just getting us right. But it's going to start here pretty soon.
You mean it's not right yet?
Not right. Not right yet. Not at all.
Got to keep working on it.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, and it's never perfect. We're humans, and we have this discussion all the time because people will criticize the coaching staff, and I'm like,
why the heck did they do that?
It's just
that
like
was stupid.
It's just like being a parent, because I can look straight at my son and say, "Don't do that," and then he turns around and does it.
Sure.
And that's no reflection of me as a parent, because I told him not to do it, and it's the same thing with you guys. Y'all coach and y'all tell them, "Here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to do it," and if they choose not to do it,
forget to do it,
or forget to
again,
do it, or something happens, because they're teenagers, and it doesn't get done, a lot of them are like, well, why the coach haven't, again, you don't know, like you said, your dad said, well, why did the defensive end do that? Well, maybe he was supposed to do that, right. And you just never know. It's tough. Yeah, it's hard to see. I've told you 100 times, and you're still not doing it.
That's why it's harder to load a football team than it is, say, a basketball team, with the AAU recruits and stuff like that. I mean, teams do it, but there's a lot more parity, I think, team to team. So it's going to be interesting.
We've been coaching the freshmen, and you can do cones and trash cans and barrels all you want. I'm like, they're going to move on hut. Like, you don't know where they're going. They're not going to tell you, hey, I'm running a stop route right here.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you, hey, I'm running a post route right here. Like, you got to react, and that's what I like about the defensive side of the ball, is you got to react to what they do in a split second.
Anticipate, look for tells.
On hut, you don't really know, and you've got to figure it out in that split second right now and do your job. So.
Well, that'd be interesting. So what has Huddle done for you guys in terms of being able to break down and analyze that's kind of new? Because that's really opened up a lot of things. What do they do on third downs? You can do a lot of that analyzation. I guess I'd be interested in both of y'all's perspective on that.
They do a lot. They have a bunch of reports, and I mean that's obviously what you do all week long. You want to find all that stuff, but we've gone into the analytics pretty hardcore. I was a math teacher. He was a math teacher. We got some nerd in both of us.
I got it.
Numbers guys.
I like it.
We like each other.
I like it. Yeah.
So we've gotten some new things to look at. They're going to help us out. Mega during the week to really dive into what people are doing and what their tendencies are and things like that. That we're fired up about.
Yeah. I mean, I love hearing some of these stories where they talk about, that one guy, every time he lifts his hand twice, right hand, okay, he's going to be tended to go to the left. Yeah. And there's these little tells, and people don't necessarily realize that we do them as well as the other guys. So you got to try and avoid that with your guys. And that's the chess match aspect of it that I love.
The fun part.
That's the fun part. Yeah. When you do find those little things like that, you feel like you hit the lottery.
Yeah. Especially when it works out.
Yeah. That's right.
Got him.
Yep.
It's always fun when it works.
Yeah.
All right. What are both of you looking forward to this year? What's the top thing, and who's going to surprise us on the football team?
Yeah. I'm just looking forward to these guys getting to go out there and it'd be their team, right? Because, every year, you have, it doesn't matter if you were the underclassmen, a part of the team, that you have the leadership of a Zena and a Tank and a Quentin House-Hammonds and those guys from last year, and you were on the team with them, or if you're that kid that's coming up and you've dreamed of being an Allen Eagle varsity football player, and now they're going to be out there. So what's probably the most exciting or look forward to for me is the same as it is every year is what's this team, because when you say we're playing good defense, or you say we did this stuff in the playoffs, or whatever it is, we all have the thoughts of why. Like we know that we were really, really, really tough to run the ball against last year. We know that, right? I'm excited to see on that side of the ball is are we gonna be as effective with those guys this year? Because you take again Tank, who I do think was the best football player in 6A last year, either side of the ball. I really do believe that, and we have guys that we think are going to get plugged into that. And if we're able to say that again next year, then that's a blessing that not many people get to say, is you have the best player 2 years in a row. And then you say, so you're wondering about what are we going to look like there, and then you say, okay, offensively, who are we going to be? Are we going to be a team that's running the ball between the tackles? Are you a team that's running the ball on the perimeter? Are you a team that's going to be able to exploit teams through the air? What are you going to be? And just we certainly are working at things in all phases of the game, but just seeing till you get out there and play, you really don't know what this team is going to be. And that's the fun to me, is just see how the personality. You mentioned DeSoto. You mentioned C.E. King, and none of us in here said that. I forgot we even played C.E. King. I mean, really, I did.
I was kind of getting that.
But that's just being real, is that you don't, when you think about week 1, 2, and then you think about week 13, 14, it's just how far the team comes. So that's the exciting part, is just seeing your baby who's born and seeing that baby a month later and 3 months later and then 11 months later, where are they? And that to me is the exciting part, just who's this team going to be, who's going to step up. And I think there's a lot of people in my mind that I'm saying have had a really good off season. It's also the sad thing is there's just a lot that'll have a phenomenal off season, and then it might just not click between the lines, and so you're excited for them, and then it just might not be in the cards. And then there's some that kind of, the non-in pads time of year, they start to kind of not stand out as much, and then you put the pads back on, and then they just kind of get it, and so that will be complete unknowns for me. I think there's some guys that have started a few years, on his side of the ball. You got Mitchell New, who's been up there a while. Really excited to see what kind of year he has as he continues to evolve as a player. And then he mentioned the defensive end that was playing Zena's position, and some others. You're excited about what are they going to do. Offensive line, to me, is always the most important position on the football team. And what are we going to be there? What are we going to be saying about this group as we go into our open week? What are we going to be saying as we hopefully sneak up from the end of the regular season? What are we going to be? Are we going to be a team that that hangs our hat on the offensive line, or are we going to be a team that has to do things to overcome an offensive line? Which are all things that teams, you're one or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I would answer it. But,
well, the nice thing from our perspective, sorry to interrupt, but you guys have had a full season coming into this year. I mean, it's like you were on a short cycle when you first came in and took the job, and that was tough, and having to come back from that and go through the whole year. And how's that?
It's year 3.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you can, and you
so
can
the
really
expectations, Coach.
Oh yeah, they are, and they are. It should be, but they're for us. They were, and they will always will be forever.
Will be,
but when you just talk program wise, that first year coming in June, and like we've told you guys, and we already said it on here, is our season right now. We feel like the season is 3/4 of the way over.
Yeah.
We're about to get to go play games.
Right.
Well, that first year there was no season. We had to go play games, right? So that year existed, but then we go through a year of the off season, but we still don't have a vital piece in the entire off season, right? Yeah. But the program, what we would consider our program, has now been in place for a full season, that last January through the end of the season, and then this January through a summer. So a year and 3/4, we feel like the program has been in place, and now we're sneaking up on a little over a year of the defense being there. So that's when you say you just feel so much better. I'm not saying that you say we're going out there and the 22 starters that we're going to throw on the field are light years ahead of what we had last year. That's by no means am I saying that. By no means. What I'm saying is I feel really, really good about where we are as a program, and the stuff that day one practice Monday defensively will look a little bit different than day one practice last year. We're just at a, we're because of that. Because
familiarity.
Familiarity, right? Yeah. It's not that I'm saying, we're going to look a whole lot better at defensive tackle than we did with Tank. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's going to be able to say words that all of them know.
Yeah.
Right, and so that allows you to feel more comfortable. But you were going to say,
I'm just most excited. The guys have just put in so much work, and like I said, since I've been here just a little over the year, I've been just watching the culture change as much as it has, and the program get in the right spot. That this is the fun part for them.
Yeah.
Right. They've been doing all this work behind the scenes that no one sees and all of that except us as coaches. And when they get to put on that jersey and go out on Friday night, just to watch their eyes kind of light up, is what I'm most excited about for sure.
That's awesome.
It's funny, when he says that, we do end of season meetings with all the players, and then I'm always meeting with the seniors after the season. And when you talk about, we have a questionnaire that I give them that I meet with them, and talking about their most memorable thing or the thing that they love most about being an Allen Eagle football player, the number of them that say coming out of the tunnel and seeing that crowd. I mean, it's not shocking at all, but it is also cool to hear. Because you think you're going to hear, the overtime win against Arlington, but that those are the things that the fans will say this is the coolest thing. But to them, it's much. It's just knowing that they put so much into this, and then I have this jersey on and come out there and get to run to the other end of the field and jump up and down with the student section. I mean, it's just those are the things. That
the crowd in the stadium is also intimidating to the other teams too. If they haven't been here, so Midland, it's going to be interesting to see how they react.
Well, coming in here, it's cool to me, and we catch this on the highlights that we put in sometimes when there's a big play, and I know y'all hear it. Well, you were in headset, so maybe you don't hear it, but you can hear the crowd ramp up. You can see, okay, Mackay's broken through the line. Mackay's 10 yards down, and then you could just hear it ramp up. And I know the players here, and it's really cool because it's like I say, when you go, I've been to the Rose Bowl, and when games like that happen, you're there and 100,000 people, just all of a sudden just start roaring. It's pretty cool, and so the kids get that experience. It's pretty neat. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Again, Midland Lee to start the season. Week 2, Cedar Hill. Like you said, they've got 3 offensive linemen that have committed to Texas. They were a playoff team last year, although
I think they went 4 rounds, didn't they? Almost positive, right?
Yeah,
4 rounds.
just like
they say, I mean, haven't seen them since I left that district.
Right.
everyone that you talk to says they are back, and really good things going on there, and so that'll be fun. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, it'll be 2 good home games, and then you jump right into district.
Yeah.
So it's
and then we scrimmage at home this year?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the date on that?
Thursday the 22nd.
Thursday the 22nd.
And it's in the morning, right?
It is in the morning.
Yeah.
Beat the heat.
Yeah.
Try to anyway.
Remind everybody so they don't go out there at night looking for nobody be there.
Yeah.
It's already over.
And that's against North Crowley, who
Right.
is
Yep.
who we scrimmaged the last 2 years, and
Yep.
and they do. I mean, they do a really good job, and they've got some very talented kids in their program right now. But they also
didn't their quarterback just commit to North Texas? Didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
So he was offered by TCU, but he wanted to go quarterback, and they were trying to make him an athlete or something, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, same kid from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Before we kind of exit, I also want to say and have you guys talk a little bit about some of the character building programs that you guys have gotten into. We really love having the Connections program, which is leaders in the community kind of coming in and getting a little bit more involved, a little bit more visibility.
That was kind of our greatest initiative this year. The other stuff we've been doing for that you're aware of now, and that most of our people are starting to get aware of. We've been doing for 20 plus years, but that's one we started up that we're really, really excited about it, and it's going to blow up. We worked really hard. Kind of the vision came. It was, I don't know, a late January, early February. Just kind of had a thought of it, and then tried to grow the thought and see what it would look like, and then we had to work really hard on reaching out, because we wanted to reach out to what we deemed as the most influential men leaders in the Allen community, and it was because we know that so many of our young men that we have the opportunity to coach might be missing that in their lives, or not, right? And if all I did was, not to sell what we do short, but if I grow up and I'm around a life of a coach and that's all I know is that, and I say, well, I'm going to be a coach. Why? Because that's all I know, right? And so the vision of this is that we want to get our young men, and the primary objective was we feel that we have a lot of them that don't have that man in their life, but really all of them, right? So we wanted to get our young men around successful men in the community. That was the number one objective. So as y'all know, we had the men come in the spring and get around our kids, but we also had them dive in, and we put them through an hour presentation of this is who we are as a program. And we did not show a clip of football. We did not show, because that's not who we are as a program. Right. We are as a program that gets to go do the fun part that Coach Hargis said, right? And so we got to share that with them, and then there's the next 2 phases of the Connections group are we want the men of Connections to ultimately not only be able to connect to our athletes, but connect to the program, and we've seen fruit from that today. I mean, in 2 different ways today over the course of a month and 2 months or so, that things have connected there that are going to be huge for our kids in our program. But then as this grows, the men of Connection connecting with each other, and that happened immediately when we got everyone together. So as hard as we work to identify, find, reach out to those, right now we have people calling, hey, I want to be a part of this, and what we knew it. And I told Coach McRae, who worked really hard on that with me, I said next year it will be we decide what we want to cap it at.
Right. And
that's really what it's going to be, because we're getting emails, by the week right now of, hey, so and so really wants to be a part of this, and he, and what y'all know is it's kind of not there's an initiation, but we don't want them just to be a part of it. We want them to have to sit through. What do you want to be a part of? Here's what our program is. So we're wanting to go through that with them first on the front end, and we're just not going to take time to do that 20 times a year. So we said, after the season, we will go through round 2 of this. But that Connections group will come on. We'll have a team dinner on the 29th, which is the Thursday before the Midland Legacy game. And at that team dinner, our men of Connections will be there. And that's the first opportunity. We're hoping that there's some real conversations with the athletes and those guys of hopefully dreaming, right? Yeah. Hey, I noticed that you're this, and I don't even know much about it, but could you tell me? Or, hey, I noticed you're this, and what if I wanted to become that? Or just talking to somebody and realizing that they're real also, and you can go do something. So that's an initiative we're really, really proud of. That I think
And then
it's gonna have
alumni.
a lot of fruit.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
the connections
you know.
for alumni has been.
We've worked so
important,
hard
too.
at it. It you know, and the alumni that we have a database that we've worked hard to get. To be quite honest, I'll be at weird places, and people will come up to me and say, "Hey, Coach, man, whatever. You know, proud of or happy with what you're trying to do with alumni. I'm proud to be an Allen Eagle alumni." Then I'm able to get on my phone and pull up our database and say, when did you graduate? We have them in eras, right? So we'll say, when did you graduate? And if his name's not there, I'm able to get it in there. And if it is, I'll show him the list of who is and who we don't have, and then say, hey, can you send us more names? So we're growing this. But we've done 3 now alumni dinners, and they've been awesome.
Yeah.
It just hasn't hit I don't understand how we don't have 150 alumni there. It's just hard, it's just hard. But that's going to get bigger and bigger, and it's so important for us to honor those, and we don't want them to ever feel like they're forgotten for what they've done, and we talk about them all the time, and our kids look up to them and dream of being like them. But it's even so much more than that. It's just our way of saying, look, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this program, and know that we will forever call this your program. And whatever you want from us, it's yours. Whatever you need from this program, it's yours. And we're excited about that.
It was funny. Y'all weren't in the locker room when they were turning in their jerseys and stuff today. Whatever, the coaches made them call out their number, and I heard, what's your number? 5. So Chad Adams is here? It's just like, I started naming all these players from bygone years.
Oh, yeah, we know. I mean, they're stuck in our memory for sure.
I do have a problem, and it struck me really hard, and David was in there when it happened. You've got a kid on the team, and
Arnold.
Buckley said, what's your name? And he goes, Jackson Arnold. And I was like, Jackson Arnold? I said, what's he doing here? The guy or quarterback is now I was like, what in the world?
Whoa, wait.
We got to fix that. We got to call you something else.
You must not have heard all the numbers, because I figured that you would there'd be a conversation, but we'll save that for later on.
I did. We were busy. We were trying to do something. Okay, before we go, we're going to go ahead and do your college picks this week.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There are a lot of great games week 1. You're welcome to do this, too. I don't know if you did.
I think we need to document this, too, because it's off the cuff. It's just off the top of your head.
We do 4 or 5 games a week when we have our call with him and say, okay, it's not against the spread. It's just straight up who you're going to pick. So you're welcome to do this as well. Are you a big college football fan?
All of it.
Who you pick? Who's your team?
I'm a Longhorn.
Fantastic. I got my Ewers jersey over there that I just haven't hung up.
Yeah. Now, if you know a source to get a Ewers Southlake jersey, you need one of those.
I know a guy.
Yeah. I knew it. Okay, we'll start off with the first game of the year, just because it's the first game of the year. You know what that is?
I do not.
I'm sort of disappointed in you, but that's okay.
I know you
Florida State.
It is Florida State, and they're playing Georgia Tech. I'm going to the SMU game. It's here this year.
Okay.
But it's in Dublin.
Wow.
Isn't
That's
that
cool.
cool?
Wow.
So cool.
Yeah, I was
so cool.
Being in Dublin this summer, I was like,
Ireland, not Texas.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
Dublin,
that is
Texas.
so- yeah.
I mean, there's a Dublin,
So cool.
Texas.
Yeah,
Come on.
which really, this is an easy pick for you, I think. But I wanted to do it since it was the first game, and it's coming up in a couple weeks.
Well,
so.
I will. I love Florida. That was my team.
Yep.
And I will go Florida State. But I will say that I've gotten to be good friends of the dad of the Georgia Tech quarterback, and hope he plays really well. He's a Texas kid, but I will have to go with Florida State.
Hargis?
Coach Hargis?
I'm going to go with Florida State as well.
All right. Again, we're not picking against the spread. So, all right, here we go. These are great games this first week. Clemson at Georgia. Actually, it's at the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
That is a great game. One of Dabo. I just love the way he does things. Really, really do. But I'm going to go with Georgia.
All right.
Good pick.
It's a safe pick. I love Dabo and their quarterback. I coached at Austin Westlake, so I'm going Clemson.
There you go.
Klubnik, right?
Yeah,
Love it.
Oh, you were at Westlake?
it was.
Bless your heart.
Every coach
Two
has a
schools,
long
yeah.
and storied history. You just gotta.
We still haven't got back at Westlake. We took
Yeah.
care of the Carroll thing. That was, and we did that in style. Miami at Florida.
Ooh.
See, aren't these great for
That
week
is
one?
great. Golly, it's almost sad those are so early. You're talking, and I got to be honest, I don't even know how either one of those two finished last year.
Not well, I'll just tell you.
I'm going to go because I'm just going to go with the U.
Right.
It's just something in my gut tells me they finished pretty decent, or they were going well.
They had a good recruiting class too.
Okay.
Sure.
My cousin who lives here in Lovejoy played at the U, so I'm going with the U.
Awesome.
Wow. I like how he's got a background story and all
Yeah.
that.
Hey.
All right.
So again, don't know anything.
Who's
going to do what?
Notre Dame at A&M.
Wow. First week.
Yes.
Wow.
In college.
You know,
in College Station.
In College Station.
man, yeah, that's tough. You know, because my dad, I can't. I think back to my life of dad. You know, he always says, you know, when I become head coach at Notre Dame, I'm going to do this or whatever. You know, and that was always the place. But I really like Coach Elko, and I think that he is going to do great things at A&M. Is it this early? I don't know, but I think that the world of Texas high school football and football around us is better when A&M is. So I'm going to be pulling really hard and hoping A&M wins that game.
I'm just a butt in here, and I think being in College Station and that crowd.
Yeah,
I think Notre Dame's going to be intimidated.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough first road game for
Man.
them. And I'm a Longhorn, but I'm going to pick the Aggies.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too, so it's all right. Sometimes you have to. And the last game of the weekend, this is a good one too. USC at LSU. Wow.
Oh my God.
What a great first week.
So
Man.
This is where we'll be.
Y'all are welcome to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll let them handle the weekend, and I'll come out here. Yeah.
Sorry, Coach.
Don't put me in charge.
Yeah.
Patterson, you're in charge.
Yeah. Where it's at LSU?
It's at LSU.
Yeah. And this is a dumb pick. Dumb. But I'm going USC. I just feel like they collapsed totally, and I do like the way he coaches. I think that he was so much better than the way their year ended, and I don't know. I mean, you talk about tough place to play. I don't know if it's tougher than LSU, but
especially if it's at night.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and all the stuff that took place throughout the day.
Actually, it's not LSU.
Okay.
It's at Allegiant Stadium. It's in Vegas.
Okay, I feel better about my pick.
Yeah.
I got USC.
Yep. I wanted to double check that one.
That changes it for
I will
me.
take LSU.
You'll take okay. You're gonna go.
He's all about defense.
All right. There we go. We got you all locked and loaded. We'll let you know how you do. And you're welcome to do this every year. I'll send them to you if you want to. We'll take care of that. Well, we appreciate you guys coming out, kicking off the new season. We're excited for it. Obviously, like the golf cart isn't here because it's getting its annual maintenance. The shop is clean, as you can tell. We got new toys we're having to build. David and I were planning our menu for first week, so y'all make sure to come get breakfast from us.
Breakfast, and
We'll be having the
come out and
breakfast
have
out there.
One of my
dinner
favorite
with
parts
us
about
or whatever.
Fridays, walking by y'all.
Always something going on over there. So
But really, thank you again for 120 episodes and all the years before that of loving Allen Eagle football. And
Maybe he'll listen to one of them one day.
maybe he'll remember what he said.
yeah, maybe both of those things.
I think we're going to have to start a feature, the stupid question of the week. Featured stupid question.
We got them. We'll have them for you.
No, I do. I mean, I know these people that do, listen to y'all and such big fans of y'all. I know they know this, but genuinely huge heart for the kids of Allen Eagle football and so much respect for that and so much appreciation for what y'all do behind the scenes for kids that the kids that need love and need support and it's just really it's just I just appreciate it and in awe of what y'all do and just love that you love a game that kids go out and play for their community and the community you're a part of and just really cool. So thank y'all.
You bet. So again, thanks for being here. And so we will have Chris Cumnock will be here next week.
Awesome.
We have our annual meeting with him, and Chris is always good for a quote or two. So
Yeah.
we'll have a good time with him as we discuss, because the Midland Legacy game actually is the Wipeout Kids Cancer Classic this
Right.
year. Is what the name of it will be, and Chris will be here and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk college football with him. He's real big into that. So we'll have that next week, and then 2 weeks after that, we'll kick off the season and be ready to go.
Wow.
So until next time,
It's coming.
it's over, and we're out.